Hey everyone, it's your coach Katelyn here, and the topic I have for you today is testing your spirituality in a network marketing business. And I know that may sound like a weird topic or maybe even an oxymoron, but stick with me here and hopefully I can make sense of this for you guys. So, as a lot of you may know, almost 2.5 years ago, I started as a Beachbody coach, which Beachbody is a network marketing company, and which means that I make money off of commissions from sales, and there are also a few other ways I can make money, including off of points accrued, team volume points from coaches that I have personally signed up. So, standard, what a lot of people think of as a pyramid setup. I have another video about that if you're interested in learning more about that. But in general, my reason for mentioning that is so you know that the money I'm making in this business and the amount of people I'm able to help is directly related to the amount of effort I'm putting in. And even though a lot of jobs are like this, that how fast you're moving up or your growth in a certain job or company is dependent on the effort you're putting in. This was the first job I did where the results were almost immediately tangible. So it gave me this playground to kind of experiment with some new things I was learning about life and spirituality and testing my faith in the universe. But because it was a side income at the time that I started, it wasn't a do or die situation. So one of the first things I will talk about is how I always joke with my coaches that, selling a challenge pack or a new workout program, that's not life or death. Maybe there are people out there, coaches out there that really, need that money to support a family or, to feed their children. But fortunately, for me, it was a side income, like I mentioned. So I was able to experiment with these concepts, and I'm going to give you some tidbits on what I've learned along the way. So the first thing that really started to prove some of these concepts to me was that the day I found out about coaching and decided to sign up myself was when my coach had taken me to a local picnic with other Beachbody coaches, and many of them were doing this full time at that point. And a lot of them were telling me that if you work really hard, it can take about a year or a year and a half to build it up to a full-time income. That was a Saturday. 2 days later, on a Monday, I was an engineer for a very small startup company, and we had our Monday morning meeting. And our boss told us that because of some changes being made and some decisions the investors were making, that we might possibly be selling the company. And long story short, I knew at that point that I may not have a job within the next year or year and a half. So that seemed like very coincidental timing. It was literally the same time frame given to me in both meetings. And I knew I wanted to bust my butt and do the coaching, in the evenings when I was at home part-time, and try to build it up to a full-time income so that if I lost my job, I could transition right into that. I knew right away I loved doing the coaching, and it was something I wanted to do. I didn't necessarily want to lose my full-time job because I loved that job. But I also wanted the security of knowing that I had sort of a fallback plan if I needed it. So lo and behold, that did all transpire that after about 6 months of the coaching, 6 to 8 months of the coaching, I had built it up to what I considered to be an income that would at least pay my bills, and that to me was all that mattered. If I could at least pay my bills and take care of all the essentials, then I could cut back on any of the other stuff and make do. So that to me was the first proof that this really could be something, and I really could do this full time. So then it was about a year and a half later that I lost my full-time job and started doing that full-time. But really it was just being able to build the Beachbody company up to a full-time income that really gave me a lot of faith in that the universe had my back, and I just needed to trust the process and trust that I would be taken care of and the right opportunities would come in at the right time. Because honestly, not only was it a way to make money, but it was something that I passionately loved doing. So it came in at the perfect time, and it was something that I just immediately felt connected to and was something that I enjoyed doing. But because it was something that I also wanted to be able to do full-time if I lost my job, there was a big part of me that truly did care about being able to build it up to a full-time income. So because of that, there were a lot of disappointments that you have to go through as a coach when you think somebody might order something or somebody might sign up as a coach and then that falls through. There are definitely disappointments along the way. And it's not disappointments with the people, because everybody has their own goals, and I honor and respect that. And Beachbody is not for everybody. But there are a lot of times where you have that fearful voice sneaking into your head saying, you're not cut out for this won't work out, this is the beginning of the end of your business, you've tapped out of your warm market, all of those things that you really have to become mentally strong and spiritually strong to have the faith that it will all work out. So those were some huge life lessons for me. I created a system where I call it a fear crusher list, where all those fears I just mentioned, I would write them down, and then I would write what I call my fear crushers. And those were statements that were kind of more rational than all of my fears, that would remind me that everything was working out for the best. So if I was worried that, if my fear was that I had tapped out of my warm market, my fear crusher would be, I'm meeting new people every day, I'm getting lots of referrals, there are plenty of people out there that I haven't met yet that could come into my life out of the blue and be interested in this, so I had nothing to worry about. And so I had to do that repeatedly, because there are tons of fears that sneak in along the way. So that was a huge life lesson for me. The other big thing that was cool to be able to test out was I had been reading a Wayne Dyer book at the time that I was probably from 0 to 6 months of coaching during that phase. And he talks a lot about allowing versus striving. And striving is when you're really forcefully trying to make things happen. And allowing is when you're much more in the flow of the universe and sort of allowing things to come to you. That doesn't mean you're not taking the opportunities that are coming your way and taking action, but it's in a much more low pressure, less push kind of way, which to me was something that sat really well with me. I don't like feeling like I have to push all day long, because to me that doesn't make me happy. What's the point of doing something I love if it's making me stressed and making me feel overwhelmed? So in practicing this allowing, I was putting it out there to people what I was doing. I was telling them about the different products we offer from Beachbody, as well as what I can offer as a coach. And, I was putting that all out there. I was talking to people, but then I was really leaving the ball in their court. If you have ever been a customer of mine, I always say no pressure. And I mean that. I mean that, everybody has their own goals and their own choices to make for what's best for themselves. But in doing that, I was surprised at how many people actually came my way. And I think a huge part of that was because in allowing myself to be in a state of allowing, I was making myself happier and less stressed and raising my energy and my vibrational energy and, just kind of giving off those vibes that I was in a happy place, which by law of attraction would naturally draw more good opportunities my way. But I also think it made people want to work with me, because they wouldn't have wanted to work with me if I was stressed and overwhelmed and burnt out. I think people come to me because they want that energy that I was giving off at the time, because I was doing what I needed to in my business to make sure it would be a happy match for me, not just a financial match. Because, like I said, otherwise, what's the point? Why not go back and get a job in a more corporate setting if that was the case? So I really wanted this to be something that I continued to enjoy doing and loved and was very passionate about. The only other things I wanted to mention is that the other things I was able to test was just the concepts that everything in life is cyclical. If you are in a bad state, you've had a lot of frustrations, a lot of roadblocks, a lot of disappointments, get excited. That just means good things are on its way. I mean, everything in life is cyclical. Things will always come back up. And if you just focus on doing what you need to do, then the results will come, even if you don't see them immediately. So as long as you're planting those seeds, even if you're not seeing any interest from potential customers, you'll be shocked how many of those seeds come back around later on. So, and it's the same with your health. Like if you're doing the workouts, if you're eating well, if you're making baby steps and changes, even if you're not seeing the results of that right away, it will come. You just have to trust. So I have to say that this whole business has made my trust in God and the universe just nearly absolute. And it has applied to all other areas of my life. And I have a huge part of that to thank is the support and encouragement I've gotten from the friends and family in my life, from my customers, the positive feedback I've gotten, and from the uplifting support of the other coaches as well. So this is really an incredible opportunity. It's been a feel-good experience for me, but there's been a lot of bumps along the way, and I've really had my faith in that things will always work out for the best, like really tested at some points. And it's just been amazing to see everything fall into place when I needed it to. And, you know, even when I was going through the transition from my full-time job, it was kind of like when we were getting bad news at work, were times when my Beachbody business was all of a sudden booming out of the blue, or I was getting messages from people I hadn't talked to in years, or referrals from people. And so it's just been amazing to see. And because of that, I've just learned to surrender, and I've learned to trust, and I've learned that, you know, the universe has my back, like I said, and it's just been, you know, an incredible experience. I've been amazed at how much I've grown. A lot of that also along the way had to do with personal development. I was reading motivational stuff I was listening to. So that's played a huge role too. But honestly, so much of it has been in the experience, testing out these concepts and seeing the results firsthand. You obviously don't need to be in a network marketing business to do this, but I will say that by far, hands down, that is one of the biggest benefits of a network marketing company, is to be able to immediately see results of what your thoughts are, what your attitudes are, what your energy is, what you're putting out into the universe, and making sure that if you make those things good, if you keep your thoughts positive and you do your best to give out positive vibes and do things that make yourself feel good, those good feeling things and those good opportunities are all going to come back your way. So I would recommend it to anyone. I wouldn't change this experience for the world. It's taught me so much about myself and about life in general. So that to me is the number one benefit of a network marketing company. But whatever it is you're doing, whatever job you might have, whatever pursuits you have in your life, you can test out those concepts the same way, and I promise you'll get the same results. So remember, the universe has your back. Never forget that. So good luck. I hope this was beneficial.